Gosh, man, Joe Manchin, he's a worse senator than I thought he was. I always had in the back of my mind that I was not really buying this whole thing that, they can't get him to do what they want him to do, that Joe Manchin is just unmovable, and that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris can't influence him, and none of the Democrats can influence him. Here goes a clip of Joe Manchin talking about what he won't do for the Democrats.
I'm not blaming anybody. I knew where they were, and I knew what they could and could not do. They just never realized it because they figure, surely to God we can move one person. Surely we can badger and beat one person up. Surely we can get enough protesters to make that person uncomfortable enough. They'll just say, okay, I'll vote for anything, just quit. Well, guess what? I'm from West Virginia. I'm not from where they're from, and they can just beat the living crap out of people and think they'll be submissive.
And then I read this tweet from Chris Hayes from MSNBC, and here's the thing. No one on the left ever had actual leverage over Manchin. You can't blame people for trying. This is a democracy, and people can protest and petition and kayak up to your yacht, but you can't invent leverage where none exists. I say, well, damn it. Chris is right. Tim, this is a democracy, and he is an elected official, and if he's standing up for what he believes, what can you say if this is what he really believes? But the problem is, he's such a shiesty, corrupt senator that takes money from Big Coal and other special interest groups that, how can you vote for a budget, an arms budget, that's almost $800 billion or what? You have no problem voting for war and bombs and military, but when it comes to voting for social programs, all of a sudden you become a stickler for economics. All of a sudden you want to carry the two. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden we want to do the long math. But when it's bombs and war, you're good with it. And I don't want to underemphasize the amount of bullshit that this guy, I've been hearing all about Joe Manchin in West Virginia and how him and his family just run roughshod over the people of West Virginia, how they've been basically controlling West Virginia for quite some time. How unscrupulous their dealings are. How there might be some room for investigations into impropriety and corruption. Not only on Joe Manchin, but also his wife and his daughter. So all these things are like simmering, and I'm like, none of this can you use against Joe Manchin? But it seems like maybe, just maybe, Joe Biden is happy with what Joe Manchin's doing. Maybe he's cool with it. Maybe we're looking at this thing the wrong way, Maybe this is all the plan. I know some of you felt that way. You're like, maybe Joe Biden, with a wink and a nod, is very happy with Joe Manchin's stances. It wouldn't be the first time that Joe Biden was actually screwing us over. In fact, Joe Biden has done more screwing us over of black people and working class people than he has done anything else. He has a longer record of screwing us over than helping us. Whether it be the 3 strikes law, the crime bill, whether it be the FCC modifications, whether it be bankruptcy laws that he moved to have so you can't release any student debts, even in bankruptcy. These are all compliments and perks from Joe Biden himself. So he has a longer history of screwing us than he has of helping us. He voted for every war we've ever been in. And he's the same guy who was right there with Hillary with the super predator nonsense. He's the architect of it. And then I ran across this. And this, I got to credit this to the YouTube person who commented on my video, who told me this because I had no idea, Johnson. Turns out that Biden appointed Joe Manchin's wife. President Joe Biden nominated Gayle Manchin, the wife of West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, to be the chair or the co-chair of the Appalachian Regional Commission, an economic development partnership involving the federal government in 13 states. But you give his wife a job or you co-sign? Come on, man. Who's going to turn down Joe Biden giving the nod to somebody, a senator's wife? So it's basically like you gave her the job. You say you appointed her, he put her name up, he nominated her. That's like giving her the job. Come on. Come on, Johnson. That's a pretty strong boost on your resume, having Joe Biden co-sign for you. So then I found out that Gail Manchin has held multiple government positions linked to education in a state where her husband is a political force. It is possible. There's something to consider, but at the end of the day, what the Democrats going to do about it? Because come 2022 and 2024, that ain't going to be enough to get people to come out to the polls. You telling them that you couldn't get it done, but you tried really hard. But Joe Manchin is just so evil, you can't accomplish anything. And as much as I want to believe that Kamala Harris saying that we need to just try and keep on trying, I want to believe that's great and all. But we need more than well wishes. I never had much faith in Joe Biden to begin with. So I don't have it now. Okay what I'm saying? All right? So it's really easy for me to believe or be the most cynical as possible when it comes to Joe Biden doing right by us, because that's never been his mode of operation. And then I discovered this. This is the thing, folks. Now, maybe tomorrow I'll call Joe Manchin's office because I would really love to hear his comment, his response to this. I have an article that just came out yesterday. And it says, Joe Manchin believes parents will use the child tax credit money to buy drugs. Yeah, Joe Manchin thinks that people who are going to get their own money, remember the child tax credit money, the monthly child tax credit money is at $3,000 or $3,600, depending on the age of the child. It's just the government giving you money monthly instead of waiting to the end of the year and giving you all of it at one time. Like, that's all it is. So parents can budget month to month, particularly when instead of just waiting to the end of the year to budget. Right? So it's not like it's extra. I think there was some modification so that more people qualify for it, but that's all it was. I mean, we're not talking about really a drastic thing. This is not a UBI. I know some people wanted to be called a UBI, but it's not a UBI. This is an earned income credit. And that was started, in 1990 or something? Like, that's been around for a long time. That's not new. What's new is the disbursement of the earned income tax credit into a monthly tax credit per child. Get it? So, even if I think that it's possible that Joe Manchin's just worried about West Virginia, and West Virginia, by and large, support him, what about this shit? Yeah, what about this shit? He said, now listen, centrist Democrat, according to HuffPost, Manchin has been privately telling his Senate colleagues that he believes parents would use tax credit money to buy drugs instead of providing for their children. Yeah, he thinks that if you get the money monthly, you get monthly money for your child, that you're going to take that money and go buy some form of narcotics. Now, look, guys, I don't know what everyone's doing with their money, but just assume that in the throes of a pandemic, that your constituents are more concerned with getting high than they are staying indoors and putting food on the table, shows a lack of respect for the citizens. And not only West Virginians, but all of America. Because this is not just for West Virginia, this is for all of us. So he believes this senator from West Virginia, one of his reasons for not going along is he thinks that you are a drug addict. And an unmanageable drug addict at that. One that would not take care of one's kids if you were giving your money monthly instead of waiting to get your money. He also said, according to sources, and this is why I said I want to contact his office, because I want to hear his explanation, you know? Because when people say sources, I'm like, who's the sources, Johnson? But according to Huffington Post, sources told them Manchin also believed people will abuse paid leave to go hunting. Look, guys. You know, I was just talking about how Biden and Kamala and Obama and some of the other officials had a tendency to talk down to black people. I was just saying that in another video. Well, Joe Manchin is proof that they're not alone, that there are some white politicians who talk down to white people as if white people ain't shit too. And that's exactly what Joe Manchin's doing. And hey, look, and Joe, I don't know like everything that goes on in West Virginia, but I understand that there are a lot of people that go hunting in West Virginia, and I don't have a problem with what people do, whether, you know, to take care of their families or whatever their sporting activity is. But motherfucker, we don't go hunting where I'm from. Okay? And paid leave for my daughter, who's right now at the hospital. She just delivered my third grandchild. Give it up for her. Jasmine! I mean, this just happened 3 hours ago. 3 hours ago. Well, time off for her will not consist of hunting, motherfucker. It will consist of taking care of the new baby girl she's bringing home. And for you, for you to suggest that there's some nefarious activity going on with people getting leave is just an insult of the highest order. And we're talking about shit that most other westernized countries already have. I mean, the shit that we have to fight fucking Democrats and Republicans too. But since I've never voted for a Republican, right? And since I see no reason to now, to give me nothing to vote for them for, right? I'm saying this to Democrats, and I'm saying, if this is what you got, and this is what you allow on your party, and this guy you won't censor him, this guy you won't kick him off committees, this guy you won't hold him accountable, this guy used to talk out his ass. He's saying that if people get money, they're gonna go spend it on drugs. What in the fuck? What? Tell him 1950s call if they want their politics back, and stop treating all of America like poor white trash, and stop talking down your nose to hardworking people. And I thought people in West Virginia had more guts and class and had more heart than to let this rich, corrupt politician shit on them. And America and the Democratic Party, if you are half as ruthless as I've been led to believe you are, the way that you squash progressives, well, I gotta say, man, I'm not fooled by this shit at all. I believe that Joe Manchin is a plant. He is working in cahoots with the Democratic Party. And if the only way that you're going to prove me wrong about that is for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and other prominent Democrats to come out against Joe Manchin and start running someone at him. Run someone directly at Joe Manchin. You put him in office, you can take him out of office. Someone who's this insulting to Americans, who believes that family leave will be spent hunting just because he's a rich asshole who has money to throw away. He lives on a yacht. He believes that everyone else does what he does. When most people are hardworking people who don't have the luxury and can't afford the luxury of living on yachts and going hunting instead of going to work. And when they take time off, they really need that time off, Joe. You know, I supported Bernie Sanders, and I've caught hell from a lot of people about it because Bernie's not perfect, and there's things he did not get right. And I'll be the first one to admit, and I was the first one to admit, who supported Bernie, that I didn't like his stance on reparations and that I wanted him to be stronger on the black agenda. And I supported Ice Cube's contract with Black America, and I support reparations now, and I am the foremost, loudest, most viewed black left commentator who supports reparations. And I'm not worried about if CNN lets me back on, or if TYT want to fuck with me, or the Ring of Fire, or none. I'm not worried about any of these entities. I stand on what I stand on, okay? But if these people are going to allow people like Joe Manchin to continue to dominate politics, if I got to keep hearing his fucking name, if he gets to continue to run the Democratic Party, well, folks, it's pretty simple what we got to do. And what we got to do is not succumb to their nonsense and not vote for them. Yeah, I think they could get his ass out. Same way they go after progressives, the same way they hammer progressives, the same reason why progressives were not put into office, or the same reason why there's uphill battles. I look at Buffalo, I look at India Walton, I look at what they did to her. That's the establishment coalescing around an insurgent candidate with progressive policies. When I look at what they did to Nina Turner in District 11, when they coalesced Hillary Clinton and all of them, surrounded Clyburn, surrounded the more moderate, more conservative candidate, well, I expect that same energy, Johnson. I expect that same energy when it comes to Joe Manchin. And if you don't possess that same level of commitment towards getting rid of this shithead who believes that if we take time off work, we are doing it to go fishing, who believes that if we get money for our children on a monthly basis instead of an annual basis, that money will be spent putting it in our veins instead of putting it into our pipes and water and our sewage and our heating and our mortgage and our car notes and our fucking medical bills that we still don't have coverage for, and our insulin and all the other shit that other westernized countries already give their citizens. And all I'm saying is, if a commentator in a meager setting as this, without the backing of any corporate entity, could come and say these things, make a case for why the Democrats need to step it up when it comes to Joe Manchin, and why this shit has gone on long enough, and I can't get that same level of passion and velocity, the same level of energy from other people and other members of the Democratic Party, then I think it shows exactly what we need to know. And all I got to tell you is, this shit about Joe Manchin being unmovable, to me, I'm not buying it. And you shouldn't buy it either. Fuck Joe Manchin and fuck the Democrats if they don't get this done. And I want to see some furniture moving around. To quote Bernie Mac, I want to see some furniture moving around. And if the Democrats don't step all the way up on this, if they don't, to quote Maya Angelou, when someone shows you who they are, believe them.